Hey Jake. So Jake, I wanted to start off this video talking about roommates. However, as I was thinking about it, I realized that that'll probably be just all negative stuff across the board. Why is it that so many people have trouble with roommates? I mean, at least I did. Now, I do know some people who haven't had any trouble with roommates and who have always had good roommates. Though I think the big key factor is whether or not the roommate is your friend before they're your roommate. Jake, I've had a few roommates in my life, and I've also almost had a couple roommates in my life. So I figured I'd go ahead and kind of go through the experiences that I've had. Now, the first roommate that I have, we'll call him Tyler to protect his identity. I had moved to Hickson, Tennessee to go to the local community college, and I needed a roommate. So I reached out to Tyler, who was a good friend of mine for 10 years. And it worked out that he also wanted to get out of the house. And since he was working in Hickson as well, we were able to go in together and get a place. Now, this place was pretty good. It was a 2-floor place, had a kitchen, living room. We each had a bedroom, had a full-size bathroom. It was really good. And for the most part, in the beginning, there was no real issues between myself and Tyler. Both of us pretty much stuck to our rooms, playing our games, doing our thing, and then occasionally we'd come down and cook in the kitchen or whatever, clean up after we were done. The living room had all of my consoles and stuff in it, and his room had his consoles in it, and then both of our rooms had our computers in it as well. So we lived there together for about 10 months, and at about that time, Tyler was working at GameStop, and unfortunately, he was losing his hours there, so he was not able to cover the cost of staying in the house. So one day I was downstairs in the living room playing Battlefield 3, and I saw Tyler coming downstairs with some suitcases. Of course, I had no idea what was going on, so I asked him, hey, what's going on? To which I was told that he was leaving because he did not have enough money to continue to stay here. It really would have been nice had he told me before he didn't have any money, but that's just kind of how it went. So he was going to go live with some family, and basically I was stuck with the remainder of the 2 months to pay everything, so that way I got my deposit back. And also so I could find something to do, some place to live, some way to work something out, because I was basically screwed at that point. So the day that I found out about this was about 2 days before he was completely gone, and I was pretty much sunk. At the time I was working as a cashier at Walmart, and there was another guy who I had been talking to back and forth. We talked a lot about Magic the Gathering at the time. Somehow we got around to the fact that I needed a roommate, and he also needed a roommate, and so we decided, hey, let's try this out. So the one night after work, he comes over, we play Magic the Gathering, we talk about monetary situations and what can be done, and basically we both agree he can move in, he just has to get back to me on when he can move in, and we need to get this money thing situated as soon as possible so that I can keep the place. And he kept messaging me through Facebook telling me, one more day, and basically delayed me for about 15 to 20 days. While I'm sitting here waiting, trying to figure out what I'm going to do about living someplace, I just was waiting to hear from him, and he kept delaying me. So ultimately what I had to do was just break the lease, cut the losses, and get out, because I just could not afford to pay 2 full months by myself based on what I was making. And at the same time, I was also going to college. So at that point, I ended up moving back in with the family for a while. Later on, me and my family moved to Pennsylvania. While I was in Pennsylvania, I got a job at GameStop. I got to know a guy who worked at GameStop as well. We'll call him Jordan. And Jordan and I were talking about maybe rooming together, as he needed a place and I also needed a place. Jordan seemed like a nice enough guy, and, I really do like him as a friend, even to this day. However, what I didn't know about Jordan prior to committing was the fact that Jordan was extremely messy and semi-unreliable as far as money is concerned. Now, while Jordan and I lived together, we had a lot of fun. We played Magic. He introduced me to D&D. We had a lot of fun. Played some video games together. He showed me a lot of cool things, a lot of anime, stuff like that, and it was a blast. However, there were also some negatives that came with that as well. For example, unfortunately, I found out that Jordan doesn't clean up after himself very much, and I basically had to be on him a lot to make sure that things would be clean. His bedroom was something that I just had to let go and let that be done. But as far as the kitchen, the bathroom, stuff like that, cleaning up after himself, I ended up doing 90% of it, and the rest of it I had to beg him to do. Also, there was a time when his girlfriend came over to spend a couple days and ended up spending almost a full month. And the worst part was the walls were pretty thin. Anyway, the worst part about that situation was after we moved out together, he left, and basically what we had anticipated was I would get back the deposit and put that towards the remainder of the bills and give him back what he needed. However, our landlord refused to give us back any of the deposits, probably because of the way that the house smelled, and I was not able to get any of that back. So sadly, I had to pay the entire remaining full portion of the last month's rent by myself. And I never did get all the money back from Jordan from that situation either. After something like that, you think I'd have learned my lesson. However, I was in a tight situation with money, and basically I had asked another friend of mine to live with me because he was also wanting something like that. So we tried to workshop this for a while to figure out what would happen. We were back and forth for a couple of months, and essentially I ended up having to leave where I was because it just didn't work out, and he wasn't able to move in with me there. Fast forward to very recently, another friend of mine had said he wanted to move in with me as well, which I was definitely open to, and I think this one would probably be the most reliable out of all of them. However, he's still up in the air about what's going on. So if he was to move in, it would certainly help me out a ton with bills, and I'd be able to hang out with him a lot more. But at this point, I'm not sure what's happening. I don't know, maybe living alone is for the best. Anyway, Jake, that is my crazy experience with roommates. If you or any of our viewers have had any crazy experiences with roommates as well, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Thank you guys once again for watching, and until next time, you'll be fine. Probably.